compassionate support, evidence-informed tools, and sustainable daily practices, rather than one-size-fits-all solutions. Meaningful change is co-created. Clients bring lived experience and goals. Practitioners offer guidance, skill building, and accountability. Reducing harm, including alcohol use, restoring balance, and cultivating resilience are interconnected aims best served by holistic interventions that honor individual values, foster agency, and prioritize long-term well-being over quick fixes. Learning, reflection, and incremental action transform survival into thriving. Valeria interviews Emma Gardner. She is a UK-based solopreneur and recovery catalyst, helping individuals reclaim well-being through evidence-based coaching, practical nervous system tools, and transformative programs. As founder of Evolve Recovery, Emma builds accessible resources, cards, journals, books, and courses that support sustainable, compassionate change. With a background in addiction recovery, forensic science, and criminal justice, Emma blends science, lived experience, and practical strategies to guide listeners towards resilience. The work spans podcasting, course creation, and coaching, with a focus on trauma-informed, human-centered approaches that empower individuals and communities. Notable achievements include the development of the Recovery Box and a Silver Award for Best Product at the Mental Health Awards, reflecting a commitment to quality, impact, and accessibility. Emma hosts the Healing Odyssey podcast, featuring expert guests and real-world insights on recovery, mindfulness, and personal growth. Emma has released her first book, Life Reimagined, a practical guide to recovery and growth, and soon to release her new book, showing the different therapies and personal stories out in the world for people to discover, as AA is not the only way. Meet Emma at evolve-recovery.co.uk. Here's the interview with Emma Gardner.
Aloha, everyone. This is another A Quest for Wellbeing podcast interview. And my guest today is Emma Gardner. She is the founder of Evolve Recovery, a UK-based solopreneur and recovery catalyst, helping individuals reclaim well-being through evidence-based coaching, practical nervous system tools, and transformative programs. She's also an author, creative, podcaster, and speaker. So this is my brief introduction to you, Emma. Thank you so much again for your presence, not just here today, but also in this reality that we share. And that's very much needed. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. So the full bio will be at the end and also on the podcast notes. The question that I usually ask everyone before we dive in with all these questions and the topic of today's conversation is, how would you introduce yourself? Who is Emma in this very moment?
That's a really interesting question because it changes daily and it's changed so much throughout my life. But at the present moment, I am somebody that's so excited and have so much joy and gratitude for now being in recovery from addiction, because it's taught me so much about the world and it's opened my eyes so much, and I see so much more than many people that haven't been through it see. And I can see the beauty in so much more than before my addiction creeped in. And I really appreciate that. So it's a beautiful thing.
Yes. What a wonderful answer to that question. Especially this last piece where you honor the experience as I would say, a tool for change, for growth, a way to evolve. And that's why, I see, and I now see clearly the word evolve and why you use it. That has very much everything to do with that. This is something that I used to push away because I went through a lot of suffering as a child, trauma and all that, abuse and all those things. And I really, and then I heard people saying, I'm so grateful for what I went through because if I didn't, I wouldn't be here. I had a hard time with that because I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't ask. I wouldn't, I wouldn't go through all that again in order to grow and evolve. That doesn't make any sense. So that has been one of my path, like to explore that realm of suffering. Is that really necessary? And why do we suffer? Or some of us suffer more than others. It's all related to growth, or there is something else in it for some of us, Emma.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that with me. It is such a funny thing. And I say in my podcast to a lot of my guests, and I'm very aware of who I'm speaking with, but I say thank you for your experiences and your pain, because without you going through that, and sharing your story, there'll be so many people in this world still feeling lost and alone. So I think it's so much to do with discovering who you are as a person and learning how to deal with what is coming up. Because as I said, my journey, it's even evolved more this year, because at the beginning of the year, I was diagnosed with ADHD and I'm in my 40s.
Oh.
And that was just something for naughty kids when I was young, who got detention in school. I didn't understand about it. And my journey went through trauma, then addiction, a lot of abandonment. And all the therapy I was being offered was always counselling. We'll give you counselling, we'll give you counselling. And I got bored of my own story. And I thought, this is just not working for me. And counselling is so important. But there comes a point where you've got to look into the future and goals and find out what you need. And you can only do that when you know who you are.
Yes.
Yes,
please continue. Please continue, Emma.
Sorry, yeah, I think my biggest turning point, a counsellor said to me once, you're so codependent on your brother. And I didn't understand that word. I'd never heard of it before. And I said, I'm not dependent on my brother. And he never corrected me. So I went on for years still not understanding that side of me. And codependency is huge. But when I learned what it was and how it affected me, I realized why I had certain behaviors and why I acted a certain way. And that was like a big light bulb going off, thinking it's okay to be me. It's not, I'm not abnormal. I'm not this weird person that does strange things. I have coping mechanisms, and I'm quiet because of that reason, or I might drink because of that reason, or all these different things started to make sense to me. And that's when I really started my recovery journey, starting to realizing who I was.
Right. Wow. So that's fundamental. And the interesting thing is that pretty much all spiritual traditions, they say the same thing. It's all about knowing what you are in order to find the answers, right? It's the only way.
Absolutely.
So I would like to go back to something that you mentioned about trauma and addiction. Are they always connected and related?
Addiction is fundamentally, it's a coping mechanism.
Right.
So what we do is when the brain is so overloaded and it can't cope, even the smallest stress can send us into just this whirlwind of confusion and panic and just complete and utter overwhelm. And it could be, I remember somebody saying something to me once about somebody walking up a path and putting keys in a door and the sound of it. And it took me back to my childhood trauma.
Yeah.
And I wanted to drink just to get rid of that thought.
Yeah.
I've also worked with a client as well who they didn't know what their triggers were. And when we went round a supermarket, we said to stop when you feel the urge to drink. So it wasn't in the alcohol aisle, and it wasn't somewhere that you might think somebody would spot a bottle or some cans or something. It was when we got to the washing powder section, and it was because they used to go into the laundry room to escape the trauma in the household, to drink to get away from that trauma. So now they've worked on themselves. They are much better, but they were still getting this trigger that they didn't know what it was. And it was just that smell of the washing powder. There was something still there. So I think going back to what can set us off and knowing ourselves, that little thing of knowing that smell triggers you is huge when you don't know why every time you smell it, you get that urge.
Right. Wow. That is fascinating. A smell, a sound. It could be any sensory perception, right, Emma? Could trigger.
Absolutely. And trauma as well doesn't have to be a major life event. It might be something you can receive trauma in the womb that you may not be aware of. So it could be a sound, a song that you heard in the womb. It could be, I don't remember much before the age of 6. So I've still got a lot of work to do around that area, but I don't know if I want to unleash that. I now cope with that and I've learned how to deal with that, but I don't know if I want to go back and address what might have happened to me before the age of 6. I'm aware of some of the things, but it's a fine line of being in recovery and finally living your life, finding your way forward and appreciating what the world has for you. Do I want to go back and re-traumatize myself or find something dark that I don't need now? I don't need that to live to my full potential. But there's still that niggling little sound in my head that sometimes says, I wonder if you could excel even more if you found out what it was. Or could it destroy me? And I think we're all on a path of forever finding out and forever discovering who we are.
Right. Wow. It is so true. I'm just, as you speak, I have images in front of me because I can see in my mind. I'm very visual, like the imagery of what you're speaking of. I have been very much interested in answering the question, can this end suffering? Or what could be the end of suffering? of all of our suffering. Perhaps not the physical one, right? Pain, all that. This will always be part of this human experience. But there's something
Yeah.
about emotions, memory, emotion. It feels to me like it is very much possible. So it has been my path of knowing what the ultimate, let's say, truth or reality is, which is what we are, not really what we think we are. So we are not the emotions, we are not the memory, we're not the body, we're none of, we are not experience. So we are what perceives, what kind of creates experience. So that's what my realization has been in some of us, for some of us too, in this world. It's not just me, because it's a non-dual. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this term. It's
Yeah.
non-duality. So it comes from Taoism, Hinduism. There are many traditions that they point to this reality that is untouched by anything that changes of experience. So I have done a lot of, let's say, practices that would lead to the crystallization of this realization, and I still have them in place every single day. But at the same time, for now, at this moment, it's kind of the last 5 years, I would say. I have been hearing, per se, with my mind's ears, the call to integrate, in a sense, this knowledge that we are what cannot be touched. That's the ultimate us, the truth, with what changes, which is our human experience. So basically being fully human and fully divine. So we can bring those two together. But what that looks like and feels like, I'm still exploring that. Have you written anything, or in a creative way done anything that pointed to this reality of what we are that's untouched by experience?
I love that. It's so, so beautiful. And I think so many people are striving for that, and they put so much pressure on themselves as well.
Right.
I think
Right.
especially in recovery, that with ADHD, you need that dopamine hit. There's a different base level of dopamine for people with ADHD and addiction, and they're always chasing that. So when you tell somebody in recovery to, not everyone, but some people, you'll say meditate, and that will just freak them out, or say about mindfulness, or
Yeah.
sit with your own thoughts. And the first time somebody told me to sit with my own thoughts, nothing scares me more in this world.
Yes.
Because my head is crazy. I'm such a calm person. It's that old analogy of the swan is all graceful on top of the water, but underneath their legs are going like crazy. And
Yes.
that's very much me. And somebody said to me once, more in alcoholics than other addictions, that you get these, not mood swings, but waves of how your mood will be. So you might be up one day, down another, but it's knowing that that is not going to last. You're not going to feel like that forever. And that, just that one thing being said to me, gave me so much hope, that because we can be our own worst enemies, and if we're feeling down, we can sink into it, we can let it consume us and go down and down and down. But if we have that hope of tomorrow we might not feel better, or especially in early recovery, this week might be a bad week, but it's not going to last. It's just temporary. And that
Right.
can give us hope to try and take us out of it, to try something new. And so when I wrote my book, Life Reimagined, it combined all of that. So that need for dopamine, but it doesn't have to be replaced by another addiction or coping mechanism. We get dopamine from just trying something new, something different. And cravings last 6 minutes long. Those 6 minutes can feel like a lifetime and can feel hell. But reading a page of a book, listening to a podcast, trying something new, or I've put in there, it's not just meditation and reading. Try an old science experiment from when you were in school, when you built a volcano and made a mess.
Right.
Do a little bit of cleaning to your favorite song. Give yourself a challenge to do the washing up before the end of your song finishes. And that builds the dopamine. That gives you a bit of a high. You're challenging yourself. You're listening to your favorite music. It's looking at something difficult to elevate yourself. And then when you start to clear your mind, you can look at other things like mindfulness. And because sometimes it's so hard to see when you've just got a black cloud over you. It's not going to last, and there's things that you can do to help. You don't have to let it consume you.
Yes. Wow. Yes. I've been attentively listening to you and trying to kind of make sense from my own experience. I usually go to experience in order to tap into these anything related to the human experience, that part. So I go to my own experience to see if I can relate to it. I was about to say immediately when you talked about the triggers or the urge to go back to the addiction. The thing is just really fast, right? It's almost like in the speed of light. It's so fast that if we don't pause, then we just go with it. It's almost like going with the tide. But you suggest doing something not to replace. That's really, I love that. So because we don't want to replace an addiction with another one, that's not helpful. So thank you for saying that. It's basically giving the brain something new to engage with just for that time, that specific time. That is so beautiful. I love the suggestion. Yeah, I usually think about fear. Do you also connect addiction to fear?
Yeah, I think fear is huge, because there's fear of when you come out of addiction, for the person who's been in addiction, as well as their loved ones, family, friends, you don't know who you're going to be. If it's something that you've relied on for so long, who are you going to be without alcohol or substances or whatever it is that you've been using, or shopping? It could be anything.
Yeah.
There's a massive fear. Will people accept me now? Will I be able to go out and socialize?
Right.
And so I'm talking about after giving up the addiction. Obviously, there's the fear before as well. But when I was in rehab, I remember, and I find it so funny that my fear wasn't a loved one passing away or a big trauma that would send me back to drinking. My fear was going on holiday. And I thought, how do people go on holiday and they don't drink? You have all these all-inclusive bars, and that's what people do. I'm going to be an outcast. How am I going to enjoy myself? And I've done many, many, many holidays now without drinking, but that was such a huge fear. And I couldn't shift that. It was really strange that it was something so small, but I couldn't shift that feeling and that fear. And I suppose probably because I wanted a holiday, but that fear would also be around any social event.
Right.
Christmas, birthdays, funerals. That question being asked of, why don't you have a drink? Or what's wrong? Thinking of all the excuses. We're told that we shouldn't lie to people, but you're thinking, I've got to lie to get through the night, to say that I'm on antibiotics, or I'm not feeling well, or I'm driving.
Yeah.
There's so much fear around and anxiety around everything. It's a really strange feeling. And I remember being in a meeting one night, and when you mentioned earlier, it is that instant urge. It's almost automatic. Yeah. That even though I hadn't been drinking at that point for 2 years, I went to a meeting and I saw a sign on a shop saying that it shuts at 10 p.m. And my head automatically went, by the time I get out of this meeting, I'm not going to be able to buy any drink. It will be shut. And I hadn't drank for 2 years and I didn't want to drink. But that sign in the shop made me panic. What am I going to do? Which is so ridiculous. And I don't know where it came from. I don't know where that thought came from. But they take a while to deal with and cope with, and realize that it's not needed, that you are a different person and you are learning and growing. And the point that I actually went into the meeting and went home and didn't think about it again shows growth. Yeah. So it's a good thing. Fear can keep us safe. We can have fear of, if we do return to it, what are we going to lose? So fear can be really helpful at the same time.
Yes. Yes. Well, I love everything about you in so many different ways. One, that you have this openness and the courage to, a part of you, it's really all in this evolution of you, like evolving. So it's truly, truly beautiful to see that, to hear that, to sense that, to see that in everything that you do, and the sound of your voice, the words that you say. Thank you, Emma.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's truly beautiful. So, well, I would like to make a comment about something that, it again, relates to my own experience, which is when it comes to fear. So the fear of social acceptance, that's a big one. We can't really become sovereign. We cannot really grow and evolve that part in us that wants to be different, in a sense of healthier, peaceful, and happier in all of that, if we are listening to the constructed voices of the outside world. So when you talk about that, like that part of us, and I can hear that in you too, it's interesting because we are kind of composed of different parts, almost like music. So they're different parts of us that come together in harmony in order to create this almost like this symphony of of this unique reality that we all represent. So it's truly beautiful too to see that way. It's kind of poetic the way I'm saying, but it's very much close to what I have experienced and that I experience now. So that part of you that even though it didn't make sense, it's still kind of afraid, concerned with the, not being able to get the drink and all that. It's interesting to see that it's still there. It didn't leave, but you have grown the other part of you that has become almost like your guiding, let's say, driver. And I usually relate also to the, have you heard about the unmothered child?
Yes.
Oh, you have. So you know this idea, the concept of not being mothered, and then we go on in life very hungry and looking for love everywhere in all kinds of ways. So in a sense, we have to be. I came across years ago about, because I'm unmothered myself, and I remember. I mean, that part of me is. So I had to grow my own mother in order to kind of drive my life and guide my life to a healthier place. I had to. So it took many years, of course, in practices, but that's what is needed. So the closer you get to that part of you that has grown and is growing, then the other voices can't help it but just kind of follow that. And I see that that's what you have done. Do you relate to all of this, Emma, or parts of it?
Absolutely. And it's so interesting. And thank you for sharing that, because it's so true. And I think this is why it's so important to speak to people and find out what's going on for yourself, because even if you don't know what it is, my mother passed away a couple of years ago, a few years ago now. Yeah. And she was never a mother to me, and I'm a very mothering person. And for me, I need to look after little Emma, because it's little Emma that's really suffering. Right. But when I was younger, I didn't notice all the abandonment that was in my life, and it all came from my mum. And I never realized, when I was first sent off to look at my trauma, I thought it was ridiculous. I said, I don't need to go. I'm not traumatized. And I said, I'm not a victim. And I didn't understand what trauma meant those many years ago. And then somebody said to me, your father died. My father died when I was 3. So that was abandonment. My mum then got with my stepdad, who was violent. So that was abandonment. She put him before me. I was sent to live with my great nan and granddad, abandonment. Then I got sent to boarding school, which I absolutely loved. So abandonment. And looking at those patterns, I had never ever seen that before, because I loved boarding school. I loved living with my nan. And I always said, if my father hadn't passed away, I wouldn't have gone to the best school in the world. I wouldn't have had such a great education, gone on to get such a great job. And I was grateful. So I couldn't see the trauma in what I had been through. And the year before my mum passed, my dad would have been 60 years old. And I said, Mum, it would have been Dad's 60th today. And she said, Emma, no, I can't talk about it. And that was 40 odd years after he had died. And she had never been able to talk about him, look at her own trauma. And I say that's ultimately how she passed, because she never dealt with all that trauma in her body. So I realized that I needed that mother figure, and I've turned into that mother figure who now needs to look after the little Emma inside. And the great thing about my husband is he brings out little Emma. I play now. I laugh differently to how I used to. I allow little Emma to come out, and I tell her that it's safe to come out and play. So I completely get what you're saying. And I think just as it sort of started, it's so important to find out what you need and how you can give that to yourself. And it's great that you're able to do that you recognize that and you can do that for yourself. It's amazing.
It is, Emma. Yeah. And I can see actually the work that you do. I can see the little Emma doing that, doing some of that, because creativity is play. So I can see my own little Valeria doing this work. Even the conversations I have, they sometimes sound very wise and mature and all that. Wow. I'm very playful. Not really. I love playfulness. That's why my platforms, everything I'm inspired by. Some mean like even that the mature part of me is inspired by joy. So, let's just be more joyful in this world. Why not? Let's play in a meaningful way, because that part of us, I guess, it might be the wisest one, right, Emma? Is the one that we came in here with. The imprints that was very pure, innocent, open to the world. That's what we need to bring back, integrate with the mature part of us. I really feel that way, that integration. I don't know how all this ultimately plays out in the human experience. It related to that question that I had my entire life about how can we end suffering. For me, has been relationships too. So the more I can honor that, the soul or the spirit or God, whatever you call it, then this higher, this greater being. There's something about that kind of opens so many doors in so many ways. So everything I do is it's coming from that place. This is in honor of, in the name of, I give this to the soul, to the spirit. So and I don't know why. I have been doing this since I was very little. So I don't know really, it's not something that I have learned. It's almost like this unlearned knowledge that perhaps we carry through from lifetime to lifetime. That brings me to the question about spirituality. I want to mention, because I could talk to you forever, literally. I want to mention something that I really, before you answer that question about spirituality. So the topic of our conversation is AA is not the only way, creative addiction recovery tools. I really like that, what you said, this first part of the topic. AA is not the only way. And even rhymes too. There's something about music that really I connect to life itself. So I love that you said it that way. I never heard it this way before. I love that. So I want to mention that. And let me see. I just want to make sure I get everything before the interview ends, because I could just talk to you forever. I know you host a podcast called the Healing Odyssey podcast, the book Life Reimagined, a practical guide to recovery and growth. You're also writing a new book. That's wonderful to know. I would love to hear about that too. You have done so much, though. I have your bio here. And one of your achievements I see is the recovery box. So, and it won the Silver Award for Best Product of the Mental Health Awards. So I want to mention that too. And you have done so much. So it's not just podcasting, but also courses. You have the books, of course, coaching, and wow, so many things. I love I think it's a store area the store on your website. The website is evolve-recovery.co.uk. And there you have so many things. It's just so inspiring. Besides the books, card decks, journals, so many tools for recovery, as you call it. To me, they're just like playful things. I look at them like, oh, this would be nice. You know, something that I loved, and I put it in here, the smiley sunflower candles. I love them. Oh my God, I'm like, gotta get some of this for myself. I'm just in love with them, I have to say. Yes. So going back to that question about spirituality and anything else that you feel like speaking about.
I love that. Yeah, spirituality. Some people are so scared of it, and in rehab, I remember, and AA, they use the word God, and it can turn a lot of people away, which is really sad. And so we say it's a higher power. It's something, as you said, greater than yourself.
Yes.
And to use something that's not going to let you down, or look at the words of God, of good orderly direction, or that there's many others. But
Right.
don't let a word, I'm trying to think of the right words to say, as an excuse because of fear.
Right. Right.
My higher power is my dad, because he can't die. He's already dead.
Right.
And he never let me down. And I know he apart from passing, but he absolutely loved and doted on me. So wherever it comes from, it's from childhood, but I believe he sits on Orion's belt, the star constellation in the sky.
Right.
So at certain times a year when he comes out in the sky, and I'll say, "Where have you been? I've been wanting to talk to you," although I talk to him all year round.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
here's the thing, but they say, use a tree, you know, it doesn't matter what it is, as long as it can't let you down. It can be the sky, it can be looking at the birds, it can be a precious stone. If you don't know where to start, just use something that's not going to let you down. And that really helped me while I was trying to find out about spirituality, trying to quieten my mind down. Because as I said previously, my mind was racing so much, I couldn't quiet it down to understand what spirituality was, or get my head around all that. So so that's why it's always been Dad, because I know he's there, I know where he sits, I can talk to him, and that helped me start my journey then into spirituality. So it's finding that place to start, I think.
Yes, yes. It's beautiful to hear that way too. And thank you for sharing that, because it goes back to experience. That's the mystical life they call in spirituality. So basically the mystic is always looking to, almost like a scientist, look for an evidence through experience that what they believe in, and what they really understand and see inside in their inner world is expressed somehow, can be manifested in the outer world, or can be relied upon. Like I love the way you say about your father, being this point of reliance. So something that can never let me down. That's beautifully said. And I remember, well, there's a lot of spiritual teachers that I'm around, even here on Kauai, Hawaii, and that they say the same thing. They say, I cannot rely on humans, like the ones, the living ones. He says that. One of the spiritual teachers I know, indigenous here, I rely on spirit. That never let me down, he says. There's so much truth in that. Like in my case, it has been the stars, or the animals, or nature. Animals will, in a sense, let you down. It could let you down. So you never know. So I always go back to the stars, and I don't know why, since I was very little too. There's one star that I always look at it, it feels, my heart opens and it feels like it's a friend. Oh, you're here.
Mm,
Thank God. So I'm always, yeah, and I never understood exactly why. I know we don't have to, right, Emma? Like create intellectual
absolutely.
understandings for these things. As long as we feel safe, it's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. That is so true. It's that feeling safe and putting your trust in something. I think that again goes back to the fear and why people don't want to do it. And not
Right.
just the word God for some people, but it's that fear that if I do trust, if I do, because so many people have let us all down throughout our lives, big or
Right.
small, or
Yeah.
we'll have expectations of people, whether it's a boss or a family member, or we'll all be let down at some point. And when you're feeling so much and your head's so full and you don't know where to turn, that can be really frightful, because even counselors, therapists, they might go on to different companies or they might retire.
Right.
And then people think, I've been let down again.
Yes. Yes. So there, it's kind of sad to see it that way, but there is truth to it, right, Emma? There is truth to it that yeah, humans can let us down. Human
And
beings.
I think it's just that having that backup plan and realizing beforehand that nothing is forever, our pets,
Mm,
our family, So I
mm.
think that's the key to it. But I think you're in the most spiritual place in the world. So I think that's just amazing.
Yes, in that sense, it kind of it helps, doesn't it? We talk about alignment a lot. That's one of the things that brought me here as a calling. No, I needed something that could align with my body, my mind, and the soul. So, what place would that be? I remember like looking before even having the call to be here, kind of listening to life itself and kind of being guided by it, and all of a sudden everything came together perfectly. I never heard about Kauai before. I heard about Hawaii, but not Kauai.
Yeah.
And sure enough, this is one of the most, it's a very unique island. It's a very small to population here. So, and it's highly, highly, highly spiritual. Everyone here has been touched by the gift of spirituality, of being somehow spiritual. So, or whatever that means for them. So it has been, yeah, yes, has been interesting to see that alignment again. I guess it's part of a destiny. That's I've been kind of praying for it since I was very young. So I guess
Wow.
it took years. It took so long, but I'm here finally. Oh my God, Em, I love it here. You gotta come one of these days. I
Absolutely.
can't. Ah, that'll be amazing. So we're almost at the end. I want to mention again your website is evolve-recovery.co.uk. Has been amazing to be in your presence and to listen to this wise voice in you of the true self. And I love the humility, the vulnerability, the commitment to truth, and the practice to stay healthy and happy and help others. Is truly, truly beautiful. Thank you again.
Thank you so
And
much, Valeria. I really appreciate it. It's been an absolute pleasure.
uh, thank you. Would you like to add anything, Emma, that you left unsaid? Any final thoughts?
My final thought is just anyone struggling with anything, just reach out to your higher power, to somebody you trust, to a professional. Just speak, let the words come out, because holding things can be such a heavy burden, and it can be the start of a beautiful journey. Might be a difficult one, but it will be so worth it to see the beauty at the other end.
Yes, a billion yeses to that truth. Thank you so much again, and we'll talk soon. Bye for now, Emma.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. Oh my God.
Thank you for listening. To learn more about Emma Gardner and her work, please visit evolve-recovery.co.uk.